Hey everybody, welcome to my very first video diary ever. So yeah, what's this about? I'm currently working on a new album, and when I'm stuck, I head to YouTube and watch studio diaries and videos by other producers, and I absolutely love it. They always really inspire me. I also get loads of messages asking me stuff about my workflow, my sounds and so on. So I decided this would be a perfect moment to give this a try, and maybe inspire even somebody else. You never know. Anyway, let's get started. As you might have seen on my Instagram, I took some essential gear and spent a week in a cabin in the mountains. What I did there was especially composing. I really tried to focus on building melodies and foundations for new tracks. This is often the most time-consuming and also the hardest part for me when working on a song. My goal is to always have a melody or theme, which you can play on the piano or maybe hum as the core of a track, no matter how big and epic the production on top of it will be. So being alone in a cabin with no internet and just composing worked pretty well for me, and I returned with many ideas. Some quite good and some were crap. Over the last weeks, I sorted them and started building full tracks around them in my studio, and thought that's a good opportunity to show you why I'm getting not much sunlight these days. So here we are, that's my studio in Bern, Switzerland, which I'm renting since almost 7 years. I built the acoustic treatment with a friend and have been working here since then, with a little 3-year break when I was living in Berlin from 2014 to last September. Where, by the way, I also built a little studio in an air raid shelter, but I handed this over to a new tenant when we moved back to Switzerland in autumn. Besides writing music for Faux tales, I'm also mixing bands, produce for other artists and also compose for trailers and ads for companies like Native Instruments here. Let's start with the main workplace, which is this table. The computer I'm using is a maxed out 2014 Macbook Pro, running Logic X as my main DAW. It's placed up here because I'm using the internet from the tattoo shop next door, and that's the place with the best reception, which still is very slow, by the way. As an interface, I'm using the Apogee Ensemble Thunderbolt, which has a superb audio quality and lets you work with really low buffer sizes. It's also neatly integrated in Logic. You can control the preamps and everything directly in the DAW. It has also loads of in and outputs, so I can have all my gear connected. And since it's Thunderbolt, I can hook up my screen, which has USB ports to it, and connect everything with one Thunderbolt cable to my laptop. My main speakers are the Neumann KH310, an awesome 3-way monitor with a closed enclosure, which gives a really precise bass response. Then I have the mandatory pair of NS10, which are really useful for balancing the levels in a mix. There is also a KRK sub hooked up to them, which I can switch on to check the low end on a mix or just listen how my tracks would sound in a tuned car. And then there are those little cheap Logitech speakers to hear if the mix works on small speakers. I can switch between the speakers with the front panel buttons of the interface. As a MIDI controller, I'm using the Complete Kontrol S61 Mark II by Native Instruments. It has a really nice action and an awesome integration with plugins. Also on the table is a Roland RE501 analog tape echo. It's basically the legendary space echo, but with a chorus and balanced in and outputs. So it's hooked up to my interface and I can easily run soft synths or audio through it. Here is my piano. It's from Rösler, a small Czech company. I bought it used in Berlin and brought it back here. I tried loads of pianos before finding this one with a rather dark sound and an accurate action that lets you play very soft, which is an essential part of my piano sound. Since I get a lot of questions about my piano sounds and how I record it, I might do an episode about this. There is also a drum machine sitting on top of it, which I recently found at the flea market for $50. Its analog tone generator section is closely related to the legendary 808, but unlike the 808, it unfortunately doesn't give you any controls over the drum sounds. Here is my hardware synth corner. This is an original MS20, which is an excellent monosynth and noise machine. The filters are really aggressive and you can just go overboard with everything. And this is a Jupiter 6, a wonderful polyphonic monster which you might know from my live videos. It's also in many of my recent tracks. On this shelf is a small pedal collection. A lot of these are from my guitar band days, but they're also pretty cool to send synths and other stuff through. And this is an Arturio Micro Brute, a really compact, big sounding analog synth. Those two little guys might look like toys, but are actually old sampling keyboards. They both have internal microphones to sample any sound, and they give it a lo-fi grainy texture. You can hear it in the background of Ascent or also on many Sigur Rós records. If you find one, get it. I might do an in-depth video of these synths later as well. This is the vocal booth / box storage. There are audio lines from and to the Apogee interface, so it's all set up to record. Here are also my guitars, and although it might be not always too obvious, they are on almost every track of mine. This is a fun little instrument called Charango. I bought it on a trip to Ecuador. I've yet to use it on a track, but if you're a gamer, check out the main theme of The Last of Us. That's a Ron Rocco playing, which is essentially a baritone charango. And that is the glockenspiel I sampled for my pack on Splice, back when I had the studio in the IRA shelter. I also tuned it in a rather unconventional way, with the help of a friend and his angle grinder. Last but not least, the chaotic utility room, with even more boxes, cables, and really important, a coffee machine. So that's it for my studio. If you are interested in more information about something specific, or if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'm going to reply in the next video. Now back to work on my album. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.